With all the talk of back-to-school plans, a big question remains for a lot of parents who have special needs and special education students. What happens to them?
All right, Paula, but first, as back-to-school preparations continue, recent data shows more children are becoming infected with COVID-19. We'll show you the new numbers. And we're following breaking news from Maryland, where 3 homes explode, prompting a desperate search for survivors in the rubble. Here's Ben.
Devin, we are tracking an intense line of thunderstorms with wind speeds clocked over 90 miles per hour in Illinois, and they're headed here. We'll tell you what to expect tonight, right now, first at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
In fact, because of what Ben was just telling us, the weather tops the program here at 4 o'clock. As you look at live radar, you see this wet weather that is headed our way, and some of it could be pretty serious. Here's Ben.
Devin, you can see from the shape of that bow, that's indicated that there's some pretty intense winds in that. Most of these are straight line, but as we told you, there's been at least one report of 90-mile-per-hour winds around the Quad Cities and a couple other 80-mile-per-hour winds as well. Storm Tracker 4 does not have a whole lot to look at right now. The main line that we're watching is well back to the west, and you can see it there as it advances towards Chicago. And that bow shape, that sort of comma shape, is indicative of how fast those winds are as it starts to approach the city. There are multiple tornado warnings out. They're concerned that one of those could be around I-90 in the Rockford area right now. Tremendous amounts of lightning as it advances closer to us. We expect those storms will probably get here around the 9 o'clock hour, that main line. There may be some individual cells that pop just ahead of that. Slight risk for severe weather in the west half, marginal risk in the east, and we'll talk more on timing of this in just a few minutes.
You got it. All right, Ben. We're also following breaking news from Baltimore, where a natural gas explosion has taken at least one life and leveled several homes. The blast this morning leveled 3 row houses, those homes for which Baltimore is so famous, severely damaged another and filled a neighborhood with debris. Firefighters found the body of one woman in the rubble, but at least 4 people have been taken to the hospital. The search goes on for anyone who still might be trapped in the debris. They're not exactly certain what caused the explosion, though a Baltimore newspaper has reported that local utilities gas leaks are becoming more and more common because thousands of miles of pipes need to be replaced. So if that would be true, it would be yet another problem of infrastructure not staying up to par. Police believe an argument between family members led to a deadly shooting outside a Detroit funeral home. This was about 11 o'clock this morning at Clora Funeral Home on East 7 Mile near Mound. Police tell us the verbal argument escalated when a man pulled out a gun and opened fire. A 53-year-old man was shot and died at the scene. A 37-year-old man has been taken into custody. We await word on charges. Checking today's coronavirus headlines here in Michigan. The state now reporting 557 new cases of COVID-19. There are 8 additional deaths across the state to report. But across the country, the United States surpasses 5 million COVID-19 cases. No other country has reported as many as that. More than 163,000 people have died in the U.S. from the virus. These numbers coming to us from Johns Hopkins University and the database that they've been compiling. One important university model predicts the number of Americans who will have died from COVID could reach 300,000 by the 1st of December. Meantime, according to a report, the majority of the Big Ten has voted against having a fall football season. Sources say the presidents voted 12-2 to end fall sports. Both Michigan and Michigan State both have physicians, by the way, as presidents, and both were among those who voted to end it. That is just a preliminary vote. It has not been canceled officially yet. We'll await further word after a meeting coming up this evening. Meantime, University of Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh is advocating for fall football. Issued a statement that reads in part, "I'm not advocating for football this fall because of my passion or our players' desire to play, but because of the facts accumulated over the last 8 weeks since our players returned to campus on June 13th. We have developed a great prototype for how we can make this work. If you are transparent and follow the rules, this is how it can be done." End of Harbaugh's quote. Also just in, though, President Trump tweeted, quote, "Play college football." We'll let you know what's decided. The status of a coronavirus relief package from Washington, meanwhile, to help struggling Americans remains up in the air this afternoon. President Trump took executive action over the weekend, but a lot of questions are swirling around the actions he's trying to take. Kimberly Gill in the newsroom with a look at where things stand right now. KG?
Hi, Devin. Good afternoon. Those questions you were talking about, the president's action include, is it enough or is it even legal? The president issued his executive orders when talks with Congress on a new relief package reached a stalemate. Critics say the orders are an end run around Congress and a political ploy. The president, though, believes it will address the nation's needs. The president's executive orders include a supplemental federal unemployment benefit of $400 per week. That's down from the $600 people have been receiving from earlier relief packages. The plan also puts a higher financial burden on the states that are hard-pressed to carry a heavier financial load. Critics say the president does not have the constitutional power to implement the orders. He says he does. A deal with Congress could solve the matter, but there are disagreements on where the prospects for negotiations stand. Listen.
The Democrats have called. They'd like to get together. And we say if it's not a waste of time, we'll do it. But if it is a waste of time, it doesn't make sense.
We said to the president, to the president's negotiators last week, we'll meet you in the middle. Right. We'll cut $1 trillion, you raise $1 trillion. You know what they said? Absolutely not. I said to them, you mean it's your way or the highway? And they said, yep.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer wants the president to work with Congress and says he should stop playing political games. Treasury Secretary, meanwhile, Steven Mnuchin said today the president is prepared to spend what is needed. And Mnuchin also said, quote, we're prepared to put more money on the table. So, Devin, we'll keep following developments in Washington, and we'll let you know of any updates.
You bet. All right, Kim, we'll see you at 5.
Yep.
Speaking of Governor Whitmer, Joe Biden drawing very close, we're told, to announcing his choice of a running mate. Speculation has been intensifying over a possible pairing of Biden and Governor Whitmer. For several weeks, it had seemed Whitmer's vice president prospects had cooled a bit, though the Associated Press reporting that Whitmer flew to Delaware to meet face-to-face with Biden, not this past weekend, but the one prior. No confirmation, though, of anything other than that meeting, so we stay tuned. Democrats are accusing the Trump administration of trying to sabotage the country's mail system. Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Gary Peters, along with U.S. Representative Brenda Lawrence, both of Michigan, teaming up to investigate the Trump administration cuts to the U.S. Postal Service. As of Friday night, 23 postal executives have been reassigned or displaced. Analysts say the new structure centralizes power around the Postmaster General, a Trump appointment, by removing 2 top executives that oversee daily operations. The restructuring, along with other operational changes, supposed to help the Postal Service cut costs and be more efficient, but there have been, of course, mail delays, and that's stoking a lot of concerns because the president has criticized mail-in voting, which we expect to be at an all-time high in November. The success of the 2020 presidential election could very well hinge, in other words, on the U.S. Postal Service.
Our democracy is being held in the hands of the Postal Service. We, in Congress and in Senate, has a responsibility to protect that democracy. And that's why I was so happy to join my Senator Gary Peters in this objective of looking at the Postal Service, ensuring that our democracy is protected through the mail system. Because of COVID, we don't have a choice. We must vote by mail.
Now, the Postmaster General recently issued a statement, and here's the quote from that. While I certainly have a good relationship with the President of the United States, the notion that I would ever make decisions concerning the Postal Service at the direction of the President or anyone else in the administration is wholly off base. End of quote. A controversial billboard targeting Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is making its way through Metro Detroit. A group calling itself Protect Our Public Schools says DeVos and President Trump are gambling with the lives of children by forcing schools to reopen. Now, recent data shows that more children are being infected with COVID-19. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, more than 97,000 children tested positive during the 2 weeks from July 16th to July 30th. The experts say that is a 40% increase in the number of pediatric cases since the pandemic began. As of July 30th, there were almost 339,000 cases reported in children, and those cases make up nearly 9% of all cases. This data comes, of course, as schools are trying to gear up for getting back to the new school year. The Northville Public Schools District offering parents 2 options for their children to attend school this fall. Students can return for in-person learning after completing the district's Virtual Start program. Students selected for virtual learning will start their full semester online September 8th. Parents have just until this Wednesday, just 3 days now, August 12th, to make that decision. Students who are not selected for a specific option will be enrolled for in-person learning. And let's stay with back to school, something a lot of us maybe haven't thought about yet. Special needs students who benefit greatly from in-person instruction. What are they supposed to do if their district decides to go virtual? Paula Tutman live with the story of an Allen Park family waiting for word from their school district regarding their special needs child. Paula?
As complicated as back to school is for any parent and any student in almost any school district, compound that difficulty when you are a parent of a special needs student.
Here is Sam. Sam has autism.
And while he has good self-help skills, he does require extra help in a school setting.
He has an aide who goes with him, and he has an aide who stays with him during lunch. It's a very small class, which is great, and he does really great.
He loves to pretend to do lawn work.
But for Sam, there is no navigating new normals and routine changes. For him, every day is a labyrinth of various sensory and emotional hurdles to jump. Now throw things in like masks and hand sanitizer, and the day becomes almost intolerable.
I think it's the feel of something weird on his hands. The face mask, we got him to wear it, like I said, bribing him. For me, it's bribe. For about a half an hour.
His mother, Jennifer, says her district, Allen Park, has not yet provided her with enough information to plan for Sam.
I've asked a lot of questions to a lot of people. I feel like I have, and it has not been addressed. He is in the Allen Park Public Schools autistic program, so when he goes to school, he goes in the autistic room. My concern is that they haven't addressed how they're going to deal with him.
Jennifer actually sees the back-to-school equation through 3 different goggles: a parent of a special needs child, a parent of a non-special ed child, and a teacher in a different district. Now this spring, it was a juggling act for her to teach her students remotely and handle her own children.
It was a very difficult situation, dividing my time between what they needed, what my students needed, and it was a lot of juggling. I would like some guidance. I would like some help. And it doesn't seem like that is willingly being provided, because this is such an unprecedented situation, which I do understand, but I need help.
By the way, this mom, who is also a teacher, believes she may actually have to quit her job so that she can educate her children. I did ask the superintendent of Allen Park Schools to join me for an interview. He did decline, ostensibly because he's getting ready for the board meeting tonight, in which I'm told a lot of these questions will be answered. Devin, you know we're going to check and find out whether or not she gets her answers. In the meantime, do join us at 6 o'clock, because we're going to do a deep dive with a school district that at this very moment is knitting together a plan for special needs students, understanding that part of that plan has to include reclaiming those who very likely will be left behind.
So right, Paul, and a really good time for me to talk about what you and I are going to be up to later this week, because one of the biggest worries for families right now is how their children will be going back to school. And we are holding an Education for All Town Hall Thursday at 7 p.m. on our website. Paula and I will be joined by a number of education leaders from across Metro Detroit to try to answer your questions. So you want to submit those right now on our website and then watch online Thursday evening at 7 p.m. All right, still to come here at 4, demanding accountability. Anger continues to swell in Beirut after that catastrophic port explosion. How these protests have prompted real changes in government. But first, chaos erupts in downtown Chicago. What prompted that unrest? When we come back.